A dying Comanche warrior discovers his 3 sons alive, raised by the black woman he spent 2 years hunting. Zara, a former slave-turned-ranch maid, found the starving triplets after a cavalry raid and secretly nursed them back to health, teaching them to survive in both worlds while hiding them from bounty hunters and her suspicious employer. Now their warrior father stands in her cabin with a knife, torn between rage and gratitude as his children form a protective circle around the only mother they remember. Zara faces the ultimate test of maternal love against a father's desperate claim to his bloodline. A knife trembled against brown skin. Blood traced a thin line down Zara's throat. The Comanche warrior's hand shook. His dark eyes burned with 2 years of searching, 2 years of cold trails and empty camps, 2 years of believing his sons were dead. They weren't dead. 3 small bodies formed a circle around the woman. His sons, alive, speaking words he didn't recognize mixed with the tongue of their people. "Don't hurt Mama Zara." Little Wolf stepped forward. 7 years old now, taller than memory allowed. The warrior's breath caught. His youngest son spoke English like white children, dressed like white children, protected this woman like she birthed them herself. "You stole my sons." Zara's voice stayed steady despite the blade. "They chose me, just like I chose them." Swift, arrow tugged at his father's leggings. Words in Comanche fell from his lips, pure and clear. The old tongue lived in them still. Quiet thunder pressed closer to the woman's skirts. "The shy one, always the shy one. She saved us when you couldn't, Father." Little Wolf's words cut deeper than any weapon. The knife wavered. The warrior's arm trembled. 2 years earlier, spring had come late to Texas. Frost still painted the morning grass when Zara walked the path to the Crenshaw ranch. Her bare feet knew every stone, every root that might catch an ankle in darkness. The sun barely touched the horizon when Marcus Crenshaw's voice cracked like a whip across the yard. "Coffee ain't gonna make itself, girl." Zara bit back words that would cost her the only paying work for 50 miles. Her fingers worked the pump handle until water ran clear. The same hands that once picked cotton now scrubbed floors and boiled. Laundry for men who spoke to her like she hadn't heard Lincoln's words. Like freedom was just another word for the same chains with different locks. She saved every coin, every scrap of silver. The North called to her in dreams. Land of her own. A roof with no master underneath it. Marcus lounged on the porch. 25 years old and soft around the middle. His father's ranch stretched to the horizon, but the sun barely worked a day in his life. He watched Zara like she might steal the sunrise if he looked away. "Town run today," he said. "Need supplies." The wagon wheels cut deep ruts in the mud. Spring rains had turned the roads into rivers of red clay. Zara guided the horses through puddles that could swallow a wheel. Whole, she smelled the smoke before she saw it. Black columns rose from the valley like funeral pyres. The acrid scent of burned canvas and something worse hung in the still air. Her hands tightened on the reins. The cavalry had been through. What remained of the Comanche camp lay scattered across the grass. Torn lodges flapped in the wind like broken wings. The soldiers had been thorough. No movement stirred among the wreckage. Zara should have driven on. Should have minded her business like she minded the gap between her teeth and other people's troubles. But something made her stop the wagon. Something made her climb down. A sound, soft as bird song, weak as dying breath. She found them under their mother's body, 3 small forms pressed together like nested dolls. The woman had died shielding them. Arrow shafts jutted from her back like fence posts. The children barely breathed. Zara looked around the empty prairie. No witnesses, no cavalry returning to finish what they started. Just wind and grass and the smell of smoke. She could walk away. Should walk away. Let nature take its course like it took everything else out, here. Instead, she gathered them up. The smallest one fit in her arms like he was meant to be there. The other 2 stumbled on legs weak as water. They spoke no English, made sounds like wounded animals. Their eyes held the hollow look of children who had seen too much death. She loaded them in the wagon under grain sacks and old blankets, drove home with her heart hammering against her ribs. The cabin behind the main house was barely big enough for one person. Zara made it work for 4. She cleaned their wounds with water heated over the fire, fed them broth 1 spoonful at a time until they could hold down solid food. They called her sounds she didn't understand, reached for her when nightmares shook them awake. Gradually, the sounds became words. The words became names. Little Wolf, Swift Arrow, Quiet Thunder. They called her Tatsumi, Mother. Marcus grew suspicious as summer stretched long and dry. Extra food disappeared from the stores. Strange sounds drifted from Zara's cabin after dark. He started watching her with eyes that missed nothing. "You been eating good lately," he said one evening. His gaze traveled over her like she was livestock at auction. "Been working hard," she replied. "Working ain't the same as eating. Takes money to eat that good." Zara's hands stayed steady as she kneaded bread. "Been careful with my wages." But careful wasn't enough. Not when 3 growing boys needed clothes and shoes and medicine when the fever came. Not when winter approached and the cabin walls let. In every wind that blew, she walked a razor's edge between discovery and starvation. One mistake would cost them everything. The children learned English like they were born to it. Mixed their father's tongue with their new mother's words until both languages lived easy on their lips. They helped with small chores, stayed quiet when voices carried from the main house. They never asked about the world that came before. Never spoke of the day the soldiers came. But sometimes Zara caught them staring at the horizon, looking for something that might never come home. Marcus followed her one October evening when the air carried the first bite of winter. His boots made no sound on the soft earth. His shadow stretched long in the lamplight spilling from her window. Inside the cabin, 3 voices spoke in whispers. A woman's voice answered in kind. Marcus pressed closer to the thin walls, close enough to hear, close enough to know. 6 months passed like seasons through drought. The children grew tall as prairie grass. Their English flowed smooth as river, water over stone. Their Comanche tongue stayed sharp as winter wind. Little Wolf helped Zara hang laundry. His small hands knew the weight of wet cloth, the rhythm of pins on rope. Swift Arrow gathered kindling with the patience of someone twice. His age, Quiet Thunder, still pressed close to her skirts, but his eyes had lost their hollow look. They called her Mama now. The word came easy as breathing. Zara walked to town on a Tuesday when the sun sat high and merciless. The general store smelled of tobacco and leather. Flour dust hung in the air like fog. The wanted poster caught her eye. A child's face stared back from yellowed paper. Crude drawing, but the features were unmistakable. The scar that ran from temple to jaw. 3 claws raked deep by some long-ago bear. Little Wolf's scar. The words below hit like stones against glass. Reward offered. Missing Comanche children. Last seen during cavalry engagement. Father searching. Zara's hands shook as she read. The paper crumpled in her grip. They weren't orphans. Someone was looking for them. Someone who had every right to claim them back. The ride home stretched, endless as winter nights. Every hoofbeat drummed the same question. What father searches for 2 years unless love runs deeper than blood? What mother keeps children from their father unless love runs deeper than truth? The cabin felt smaller when she returned. The children's laughter carried different weight. Little Wolf showed her a whistle he'd carved from willow wood. The sound pierced clean and sweet, like a signal, like a call across empty miles. "Where did you learn that song?" she asked. "Don't remember," he said. But his eyes held memory like water holds light. Deputy Hayes rode up on Thursday. His horse kicked dust that settled on everything like guilt. He tipped his hat the way white men did when they wanted something. "Fine morning, Zara." "Deputy. Been hearing stories? Strange sounds coming from your place after dark." Zara's hand stayed busy with mending. Needle through cloth, thread pulled tight. "Don't know what stories you mean." "Stories about voices, children's voices. The needle paused, just for a heartbeat, just long enough for Hayes to notice. Folks get curious when they hear things that don't make sense. Folks should mind their business. Hayes dismounted. His boots made soft sounds on packed earth. He moved like a man carrying weight he couldn't set down. Had a daughter once, he said. About the age of those voices I've been hearing. Zara looked up. His eyes held the same hollow look the children had worn. The look of someone who had seen too much taken away. Raiders got her 3 years back, Comanche raiders. The thread snapped between Zara's fingers. Spent a long time hating after that. Long time thinking all Indians were the same. All deserved what they got. Hayes sat on the porch step, uninvited but not unwelcome. Then I started watching you, seeing how you carry yourself, how you work, how you treat everyone with more kindness than they deserve. The silence stretched between them like rope under strain. What you telling me, deputy? I'm telling you I've been deflecting questions, been telling folks I already checked your place. Been making sure certain wanted posters don't make it to certain bulletin boards. Zara's needle trembled against the fabric. Why? Because watching you with those children started healing something in me I thought was broke permanent. Because maybe there's different kinds of family than the ones we're born into. Hayes stood. Dust fell from his clothes like shed skin. But I can't protect you from everyone, and I can't protect you from him. Who? The father. He's been asking questions in every town from here to the Red River. Getting closer every week. Smart man. Speaks good English, knows how to track. The thread slipped through Zara's numb fingers. He's not going to stop, Hayes said. Man loses his children. He don't stop till he finds them or dies trying. That night Zara lay awake listening to the children breathe. 3 small sounds in the darkness. 3 lives she had saved and shaped and loved into being. Little Wolf stirred in his sleep, made sounds in Comanche that she couldn't understand. His hand reached out like he was grasping for something just beyond reach. Swift Arrow curled tight as a fist. He dreamed quiet dreams that never woke the others. Quiet thunder pressed against her side. The shy one who still startled at sudden sounds, still flinched when men's voices carried too sharp on the wind. What right did she have to keep them? What right did their father have to claim them back? They had been dying when she found them. Starving and broken and lost. She had given them life when life seemed impossible. Given them love when the world offered only cruelty. But she hadn't given them birth. Hadn't carried them in her body, or sung them their first songs or taught them the stories of their people. The questions circled like vultures in her mind. No answers came with the dawn. Little Wolf asked about their father 3 days later. The question came sudden as summer. Storms. Did we have a papa before? Zara's hand stilled on the dishwater. What makes you ask? I remember a voice, deep like thunder, singing in the old tongue. Swift Arrow looked up from his whittling. I remember too. Big hands. Warm hands. Even quiet thunder nodded. His small face serious as winter sky. Do you think he's looking for us? The dish slipped from Zara's grasp, shattered against the floor like everything she had built. I don't know, baby. But she did know. Had known since the wanted poster, since Deputy Hayes's warning, since the dreams that came every night showing a warrior's face twisted with loss and searching. The truth sat heavy as stones in her chest. Someone was coming for them. Someone who had loved them first. Running Bear had tracked through 2 winters and 3 summers. His horse's hooves knew every trail between the Red River and the Rio Grande. Every town, every trading post, every place where stolen children might surface like ghosts returning to flesh. The cavalry bullet had lodged near his heart the day they took his sons. The army surgeon said it would shift, said it would find his heart eventually, like destiny with lead and powder. He felt it moving now, a slow ache that spoke of borrowed time. The burned camp lived in his memory like scar tissue. He had returned from the hunt to find his wife's body shielding empty space. 3 small shapes pressed beneath her, gone when he lifted her to the sky. Dead, he had thought, taken by soldiers to be raised as enemies of their own blood. But bodies leave traces. Living children leave hope. He had learned English from fur traders, learned to read bounty posters and wanted signs, learned to ask questions in the white man's tongue until answers came like water from deep wells. 3 boys, matching ages, distinctive scars. The trail led here, to this ranch where dust devils spun stories across empty land. Running Bear watched from the ridge as evening painted the sky red as blood. Smoke rose from the small cabin behind the main house. Lamplight spilled golden through thin walls. A woman emerged, dark skin, strong hands. She moved like someone carrying precious things. 3 small figures followed. His breath stopped. Little Wolf had grown tall. Swift Arrow's shoulders had broadened. Quiet Thunder still moved with careful steps, but his spine was straight, alive, healthy, whole. The woman spoke to them in English. They answered in the same tongue. But then Little Wolf said something in Comanche, pure and clear as mountain water. The old language lived in them still. Running Bear's hand went to his chest. The bullet shifted like a second heartbeat. He watched as the woman taught Swift Arrow to braid rope. Watched Little Wolf show her how to read tracks in the dirt. Watched Quiet Thunder help hang laundry on lines that stretched between fence posts. They moved like family, spoke like family, laughed like children who had never known sorrow. The woman was not what he had expected, not what the stories told of child stealers and slave makers. She touched his sons with gentle hands, listened when they spoke, smiled when they smiled. She loved them. Marcus Crenshaw found the cabin 3 days later. Running Bear heard the shouting from his hiding place in the cottonwoods, heard boots on wooden steps, heard a door slam hard enough to shake the walls. "I know what you've been hiding." The woman's voice stayed steady. "Don't know what you mean. 3 little savages eating my food, sleeping under my roof. You think I'm blind?" Running Bear's hand found his knife. The blade sang soft against leather. "They're just children," the woman said. "They're property of the state. Reward money walking around on 2 legs. You've been harboring fugitives." Silence stretched taut as bowstring. "Here's how this works," Marcus continued. "You do exactly what I say, when I say, for as long as I say. Or those children hang right alongside you." The woman made no sound, but Running Bear heard her breathing change, heard the shift in weight that meant hands clenching into fists. "They're my boys now," Marcus said. "And you're my property, just like your daddy was, just like his daddy before him." Running Bear moved through shadows like water through stone. The bullet in his chest pulsed with each heartbeat, each step closer to the sons he had lost. He could take Marcus now, silent as wind through grass, quick as snake striking stone. But the woman's voice stopped him. "I understand," she said. The words held surrender, but underneath ran something else, something that sounded like a mother wolf protecting her cubs. Marcus left laughing. His boots made satisfied sounds on the hard earth. Running Bear remained, in the shadows. Watch the woman gather his sons close. Watch them press against her like she was the only solid thing in a world of shifting sand. Little Wolf cut his hand on the fence post 2 mornings later. The wire bit deep. Blood ran bright as sunrise down his palm. The boy's cry pierced the morning stillness. Running Bear moved before thought, before caution, before anything but instinct and love. He ran from the trees like storm wind, dropped beside his son, pressed cloth to the wound with hands that remembered holding this child as a baby. Little Wolf looked up. His eyes widened. "Papa?" The word hit harder than any bullet, deeper than any blade. Swift Arrow appeared at the cabin door. Then Quiet Thunder. Their faces showed recognition fighting with confusion. Memory wrestling with time. The woman came last. She moved slow and careful. Her hand rested on a kitchen knife, but she didn't draw it. They stood in tableau. Father and mother. Children caught between two worlds, two loves. Two truths that couldn't both be right. "You came back," Little Wolf whispered. "I never stopped looking." Running Bear's voice cracked like dry wood. 2 years of searching, 2 years of hoping, 2 years of dying one day at a time. Swift Arrow stepped forward, then quiet thunder. They moved like sleepwalkers toward a dream they had forgotten how to trust. The woman watched. Her face showed no anger, no fear, just the terrible weight of love that knew its time was ending. "They're good boys," she said. Running Bear looked at her, really looked, saw the way his son stood close to her, saw the clothes mended with careful stitches, saw the love that lived in her eyes like light in dark places. "You saved them." "They saved me." The truth of it sat between them like sunrise after the longest night. His sons were alive because this woman had chosen love over safety, chosen them over her own survival. "I thought you were dead," he told them. "Mama Zara found us," Quiet Thunder said. His voice was different now, stronger, but still carried echoes of the shy boy who had once hidden behind his mother's skirts. "She taught us English, taught us to read, taught us your stories too." Running Bear's hand went to his chest. The bullet shifted, reminded him that time was running out like water through cupped fingers. "I have to take you home." The words came automatic, expected, but they tasted wrong on his tongue. Little Wolf looked between his father and the woman who had raised him. "This is home." The simple truth hit like lightning. These children had built a new life, new love, new family from the ashes of the old. And he was the stranger now, the intruder, the one who didn't belong. Running Bear stood. His hand still held his son's blood, still carried the scent of the woman's cooking, still felt the warmth of a home, built on love instead of law. He looked at the knife in his belt, looked at the woman who had given his son's life twice over, looked at children who called two people mother and father without seeing contradiction. The bullet in his chest pulsed like a second heart, like borrowed time counting down to truth. The blade pressed against Zara's throat, steel cold as winter morning. Running Bear's hand trembled with 2 years of grief made flesh. His sons formed, a circle around the woman who had raised them. 3 small warriors protecting their chosen mother. Their voices mixed English and Comanche like prayers spoken in different tongues to the same God. "She saved us when you couldn't, Father." Little Wolf's words cut deeper than any knife, truth sharp enough to draw blood from stone. Running Bear's breathing came ragged. The bullet in his chest shifted with each heartbeat. A countdown measured in borrowed moments. He looked at his sons. Really, looked, saw strength where there had been fragility, saw hope where there had been hollow eyes, saw love given and received in equal measure. The knife wavered. "I didn't come to take you away," he whispered. The admission fell like stones into still water. Ripples of understanding spread across young faces. "The cavalry bullet. It moves closer to my heart each day. I have weeks, maybe less." Zara's eyes widened. The children pressed closer to both parents. 2 kinds of love meeting at the crossroads, of mortality. "I came to ask you to keep them." The knife dropped, clattered against wooden floor like truth finally spoken aloud. Running Bear's legs gave way. He sat hard on the cabin floor. The bullet chose that moment to remind him who held the final say. "I thought you were like the others," he said to Zara. "Thought you stole them for selfish reasons. I thought you came to tear our family apart." Both had been wrong. Both had been protecting the same precious things. Little Wolf knelt beside his father. Swift Arrow took his other side. Quiet Thunder hung back, but his eyes never left the warrior's face. "We remember you," Swift Arrow said. "Your songs, your stories. But she's our mama now too." Running Bear touched his oldest son's face. Fingers traced the bear scar that had led him here. She is more mother to you than I have been father. The truth sat between them like sunrise after storm, painful and beautiful in equal measure. Marcus Crenshaw's boots thundered across the porch 3 days later. He brought men with him, voices raised in the language of ownership and law. Where's my property? Zara stood in the doorway, Running Bear behind her, the children between, them like bridges connecting two worlds. These children belong to the state, Marcus continued. Reward's been posted, I got legal claim. Deputy Hayes rode up as Marcus spoke. His horse lathered from hard riding, his face grim as winter sky. Actually, you don't. Marcus turned. What you talking about, Hayes? Talk to the territorial judge. Turns out when a man takes in orphaned children, cares for them, feeds them, raises them proper, law calls that adoption. These ain't orphans. That's their daddy right there. Hayes looked at Running Bear. Something passed between the two men, understanding born of shared loss and found hope. Father gave his consent, Hayes said. Legal guardianship transfers to the woman, witnessed and sealed. Marcus's face flushed, red as clay dirt. You can't do that. She's my worker. My property. Nobody's anybody's property anymore, Marcus. War settled that question. The words hung in the air like smoke from distant fires. Truth that some men still refuse to breathe. Marcus's hand went to his gun. Running Bear stepped forward. The bullet in his chest pulsed, but his warrior's training held firm. You want to fight a dying man? Running Bear's English came clear and measured. You want to orphan children who have already lost too much? The standoff stretched taut as telegraph wire, two kinds of anger facing each other across an unbridgeable divide. Hayes's hand rested easy on his own weapon. Walk away, Marcus. Nothing here belongs to you anymore. Marcus looked at the faces surrounding him. Saw no support. No agreement. No profit worth the cost. He spat in the dust. Turned his horse. Rode away trailing curses that carried no power beyond their own bitterness. Running Bear died as autumn painted the leaves, peaceful in the cabin where his sons had learned to live again. They gathered around his bed like seasons around the year, complete. He had taught them the old stories in his final weeks, sung the songs their mother had sung, given them roots to carry forward into whatever future awaited. His last words were spoken in both languages, love that needed no translation. The town buried him on the hill overlooking the ranch, a grave marker, carved with symbols from two worlds, Christian cross and eagle feather, English words and Comanche prayers. Zara bought land with money saved and donated by neighbors who had watched love triumph over law. A small plot but rich with possibility. Room for a garden. Space for children to grow. The boys thrived like prairie grass after rain. They spoke both languages with equal fluency, carried traditions from both cultures like torches passed between generations. But the world beyond their small sanctuary remained unchanged, still hungry for reasons to hate, still searching for differences to exploit. 6 months after the burial, Little Wolf found Zara at Running Bear's grave. She came here when the weight of mothering became too heavy, when the future looked too uncertain. Spring flowers bloomed around the headstone. New life from old sorrow. Mama Zara? She turned, saw her son's serious face. The expression that meant difficult questions were coming. Swift Arrow wants to know something. We all want to know. She waited. When we grow up, will people still try to kill us for being Comanche? The question hit like stones against glass, honest and terrible and unanswerable. Zara looked at her 3 sons, these children caught between worlds that might never fully accept them, beautiful and strong and marked by history they had not chosen. She had no answer that wasn't a lie, no comfort that wouldn't ring hollow against truth. I don't know, baby, but I'll die before I let them. Little Wolf nodded. Understanding passed between them like recognition between soldiers. He ran to join his brothers playing in the distance. Their laughter carried on the wind like echoes of all the children who hadn't survived to laugh again. Joy and sorrow braided together like rope strong enough to hold the world. Zara stood alone at the grave, watching her children play, knowing she had given them love and identity, but could never give them safety in a world that saw their existence as threat. The weight of loving someone the world wanted to destroy settled on her shoulders like winter's first snow. Heavy and cold and endless. And that is all to the story, for now. Please let me know where you are tuning in from. Perhaps we will create a story there. Consider liking this video and subscribing to our channel. And if you enjoy our content, click this video on your screen. I promise you it's worth watching. See you tomorrow.